So I'm here to, you know, talk to you guys. First, this is our first class. Okay. So let's talk for some time. Okay. This is a class actually. And I'm taking this class on introduction of clinical research. And, I'll talk to you about the project making and how to create the project, how to do the project. So, and that day we couldn't have the proper introduction. So first 10 minutes, let's introduce ourselves, first 10 minutes, let's introduce ourselves. So let me start with first, I'm Dr. Ajit Singh, guys, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Climate Research Solutions. And we have the CRO, we have the educational services, we have industry trainings, we have multiple things in the different wings. And I am basically a PhD in cardiology after my Doctor of Pharmacy post baccalaureate. So definitely before I did that BPharm, right? And I'm working right now for ICMR also as a senior scientist at Kasturba Medical College, Manipal. And I have published almost 70 papers. Okay. And yes, today's we have our first book published today. I have published my first book with the two other authors, one of my student and one of the colleague. We have completed one book and published today itself. You must have seen the in the LinkedIn and all everywhere it's going on. That is related to antimicrobial stewardship, right? So that's about me. And I'll take some course for you, and some course is the research publication. Okay, research publication, I'll be taking most of the classes. There are six classes actually. Out of six I will take three or four. Okay, and rest will be taken by someone else. And then there will be the ICH GCP guidelines, where I'll take one class on the Indian guidelines, Indian actually the CT guidelines, Indian Clinical Trials Guidelines 2019. And then rest of the things will be different, and the as your course contains like medical writing, pharmacovigilance, and CDM and multiple other things you have in that, right? So as first of all, I would like to apologize to all of you, because your class was scheduled for 5 o'clock, but it's now 7 o'clock, because I was also busy, and everyone was most of you, even our interns, were busy in conducting this big conference. And that happens sometimes, not frequent, but we have when we have some big events, then sometimes its schedules are up and down. So that's why we are, but I'm here to take your class, first class, right? And yeah, so I just want to know, I don't want to, you have introduced yourself. I know about you. I have the entire list of my students in 3-in-1 and 7-in-1. So let me tell you, first three courses are on, for 3-in-1 and 7-in-1: medical writing, pharmacovigilance, and CDM, right? These are the three courses which are common for you two courses. I mean, 7-in-1 course and 3-in-1 course. These two are common. And along with that, the industrial internship is common. Along with that, ICS GCP, training is, common. So from next week, we will be starting with ICH GCP training. Okay. From the next week, we are starting with that. Why we need to start? Because this week, there were some other schedules, and I wanted to, meet you. I wanted to tell you, because this course is very, very important about the clinical research. This is all clinical research. If you both, I mean, 3-in-1 people and 7-in-1 people, if you, can see your browser, if you can see the title of your course is same. Title of the course is Advanced Diploma in Clinical Research, right? Advanced Diploma in Clinical Research. So, I mean, all the departments, all the wings, all the sections, all the domains, whether that is clinical research, that is all the jobs in that clinical research, all the jobs in pharmacovigilance and medical writing, clinical data management, statistical analysis, and other things like not maybe coding, but other a lot of things. What we are going to teach: regulatory affairs, medical affairs. These all are the part of research. And what one thing we say, that drug life cycle, drug development life cycle, right? Drug development life cycle. So production, or we can say the product life cycle, right? These all are the part of product life cycle, and all are included in the research, because from the finding out the element, finding out the hit, or finding out the target. What we say, you might not be knowing, everyone, but hit and target is something, the chemical entity, and the and the purpose in the body. Purpose means it could be a protein, anything, any disease, or the changes in the body related to the disease. So those things, from the first stage to the drug development, the post marketing surveillance, entire thing is clinical research. Okay, entire thing is clinical research. All whatever you learn, whatever you do, is clinical research, right? I mean, it is research, right? And whether it is restricted to the laboratories, whether it is restricted to outside. So when you go to the industry now, you will understand everything is related to drug development, everything is related to the treatments, everything is related to the solving some health related problems, right? So everything, whatever you are learning, whether you are working in the analyticals, right? If you are M-Pharm analytics, if you are M-Pharm pharmaceutics, you are developing the drugs. If you are analytics, you are analyzing the drugs. You are doing the preclinical stages, you are working on the preclinical stages and manufacturing stages. So there are different domains, but ultimately job is one, right? Ultimately job is one. You are participating in the drug development, you are participating in the life cycle of the product, right? So that's what you all are going to learn. And definitely in 3-in-1, people are going to learn three domains, that is medical writing, pharmacovigilance, and CDM, I believe. And in 7-in-1, you are going to learn some more topics and some more domains in that, right? And definitely, because it is very important, for all of you to have the license or the certificate, training certificate for ICH, GCP, because GCP is the major guidelines for good clinical practices or the clinical research. So every one of you should have that certificate, and we are the providers of that certificate. CleanMed is one of the provider of that certificate, and that certificate is valid for 24 months, right? 24 months. So once you complete that ICH GCP guidelines, you will have a small test, and whoever passes the test will get the certificate, and that certificate will be valid for 24 months, means 2 years. And that is the maximum validity anyone in the world can give you, because we don't know when the guidelines are changed, when something new comes in the clinical research, when something new added to the guidelines, when something new happens, some new cases, some new arguments, something, so that will add to the changes of norms. And when the norm change, suddenly some guideline changes also comes, some new additions, some new volume of the guidelines. So that comes, and that comes into the existence, and then again you have to go to the training, right? Again you have to go to the new training. So that's why, considering that, okay, at least it will take 2 years to change, any company, any provider can give the ICA GCP certificate only for 24 months, right? So you are going to get these everything, right? So now let me share the screen, and let me discuss with you for almost 1 hour. So we can discuss about 50 to 55 minutes next, and then we can go ahead. So I have a lot of questions to you, because this is the first class, and I want to know uh, about you. I want to know about how much do you know. So we can plan accordingly. I mean, there is already there is always a plan, but there is we have to define the level of the people, level of the teaching, level of the trainers, and we have to tell them how much they can teach, what they can teach, right? So today I'm taking the introduction to the clinical research. Okay, and this is the slides. I hope it is visible to all of you. Guys, you can tell me, you can write in the
Yeah.
chat box, and everyone has to participate with me. See, that is my very bad habit, because I teach only with the questions sometimes. Not sometimes, every time I just come up with the questions and I teach the entire thing in the questions only. Okay? So thank you very much. So first, how many of you have worked on any research project? Please tell me, guys, how many of you have been working or have worked on a research project? Please mention. Any one of you have any research experience before? Please write. Rachna, okay. Anyone else? I have worked. Okay, I'm working. Vansika is working. Arun has worked already. Someone else? Me in my family 5th year, Mohammed Malik Ahmed. Okay, I'm working. Priyanka Rohit. Okay, wonderful. That's really great. So now my next question to leading to this, how you okay, have you come up with any research idea or whatever you're working in by yourself? So to give you the context, like, see, by yourself means like you have participated in the process of searching the topic. Okay, searching the topic, you have came up with the idea and you asked your mentor, you asked your colleagues, or you have done it by yourself. That's what I mean to ask you all, right? Have you come up with the idea by yourself? Is it by you only? Okay, that's really good. That's really good. Okay. Do you know what are the study types you can plan as a student research projects? Anyone? Do you know what are the types of studies you can plan? Yes, observational studies. Okay. Not only observational, please tell me. If you know, you can type here what type of studies you understand. Cohort studies, HORT. Okay, Yogita, very nice. Arun, very nice. KP studies. Oh, that's really nice. Yes. Cross-sectional studies, prospective and retrospective studies. Yes, 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 yes. That's really amazing. Zuhena and Kirti, but okay, that's really good. Okay, clinical trials. Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful. Okay. Now, next question is what are the latest good clinical practice guidelines? Which edition now? Anyone? Meta-analysis is not a study, dear. Meta-analysis is a type of publication. Okay, type of research you are producing. This is the product. Meta-analysis is a product, not the type of study. Yes, I'll make it clear to all of you. Yes. Can someone tell me what is the latest good clinical practice guidelines? Yes, anyone? Have you have any idea, guys? See, so ICH GCP E6R3. This is the latest guidelines. Do you know what is this? What does it mean? No, proportionality and flexibility. No, no, no. The guidelines, the latest guidelines of ICH GCP is ICH GCP E6R3. E6R3. Can someone tell me what is it? E6R3? Okay, this is a simple assignment for all of you. Please go and download and read about it. Okay, little bit you read about it. I'll write this question in the group also. You have to tell me what exactly the ICH GCP is. What exactly the ICH GCP is. Okay, and what is special in the R3. Okay, R3 is revision 3. R3 is revision 3. Okay, what is revision 3? Okay, you have to tell me what is revision 3 and what is the difference between revision 2 and revision 3. Now, okay, let's not go to the principles because you might not be answering this clearly. So let it be. Okay, let's go to the next slides. First, my question to all of you is which step comes first when we start a research project? Which step comes first when we start a research project? Defining the research problem, defining the research design, calculating the sample size, obtaining the ethics approval. Yes, guys, answer. Okay. Defining the research problem. Balachandru is telling defining the research design, research problem, research problem, research problem. Okay, so yes, research problem is the correct answer. Research problem is the correct answer. See, first thing, let me start. First thing, how do you come up with the research? How do you come up with the research? First thing, when you want to do something in the research, that you come up with only one idea, and that is curiosity, right? Curiosity means you ask yourself a question, why, right? You ask yourself a question, why? And this why comes when you see a problem around. Problem in your surroundings anywhere you see the problem first. You cannot directly jump to the conclusion, or you cannot directly jump to the solution. First you have to find out a problem, and then you have to find out how to solve it, what should be the outcome, and how to plan it. So those are the simple steps. So it starts with first find out the problem. Find out the problem, and those problem could be anything, could be given by your guide. It could be given by your guide. You are in the fifth year, you might be getting some research topics from your guide. some, if you are with friend and you are planning some research, maybe from your friends, right? And research problem can be, you can directly assess the research problems, or you can directly, when you're reading a paper, you find something, very, very not satisfied to you, and you find out, okay, why it is happening, what is this? So you show your curiosity and you come up with the research question. And in some, papers and books, there are the right direct research gaps, right? When you read a research paper, at the end you will find out the future perspectives, or you'll find out the conclusion. So conclusion is mostly 2 3 lines, and the last line of the conclusion is the problem. You know that last line of the conclusion of any original paper is a problem. Problem means problem to solve further. I mean, they have done the first part. Now second part you have to do, or anyone who wants to do, they can do the second part, right? That is finding the research problem. There are multiple ways of getting the problem, from your colleagues, from your mentor, from, I mean, by yourself, by reading the papers, by, by your curiosity, multiple things are there, right? So, but the ultimate thing is you find the research problem. I'll give you the example. So, how did the Uber, come to the existence? Do you know that? How did the Uber and, these things come to the existence? So there was a mother, there was a working mom, right? There was a working mom, and then the son. Right. Son used to see that his mom goes to the office every day. And how she goes, from the house, she takes the rickshaw, right? She takes the rickshaw, or, to the metro, or to the, tram station, metro station. And then from metro, she goes to the, office. Office means the nearby metro station. And then from there, again, she takes the rickshaw and she reaches their office, right? So if she has to reach there by 9 a.m., then she leaves the house by 7 a.m., right? It takes 2 hours, right? And if this boy is leaving her directly, dropping her directly by the bike, it takes only 1 hour. It takes only 1 hour. So where the 1 hour goes, 1 hour goes in this, transitions, train timings, and, in rickshaw timings, and, the speed of rickshaw and all, everything, right? And then walking distances, multiple things are there. So this, here, if she can go from here to here directly in 1 hour, and she's spending 2 hours every day in going, 2 hours in coming. Right. So they came up with something like, okay, let's do something where, connect the people all together, where we can connect the, drivers all together, and they can make a, some app, and that how the Uber come, that how the Uber come. So how this Uber works, Uber, Uber, I mean, the problem, he got the problem in the real society, he got the problem there, and he did the research. First he got the problem, then he found out the solution, like how we can solve the problem. Like, okay, I mean, it's not necessary, I mean, it's not easy to just, or it is, some people get this convenience, like they have the one driver, they have one car, and then it goes like that, right? But it's not like, if some simple person wants to go to office, and then, with low cost, then how to do it? They did the research, and they came up with the outcome, Uber, right? So similarly, the mean here is you have to come up with the problem first, and then you can go to the outcome. Then you can go to the outcome, right? So this was even the business and research both. Okay, the Uber was the best example of the research and the, problem and the solution both all together, and a big business. Right. So research is actually, I'll come to that part as well later. Like, if the research is business, or research is something, given for the society. Someone's mic is on. Can you please turn off your mics? This is very important to keep your mics off in my class, guys. Okay. Yeah. So, research problems, right? And then see, so there are some steps in the research. First, you find out the problem, then you make a plan, right? Make a plan to do the research, right? Then you come up with the, I mean, you do the execution, and you come up with the outcome. Outcome is the solution, right? Outcome is the solution here. So problem is there, right? Problem is there, and you will do a lot of things. I'll tell you, the step by step with the graph. But here, problem, and then making a plan, full-fledged plan. So how to make it plan? Plan means, in the clinical research, plan is called as planning the research. Making a planning document is called as protocol, right? You understand protocol? Protocol. So the first thing is, if we come back to the question, first thing is research problem. Defining the research problem. Second task will be making the protocol. So defining the research design is a part of protocol. Calculating the sample size is a part of protocol, right? These two are the part of protocol. So this is the next step, not the first step. These two are the next step, second step, not the first step. And fourth option is obtaining the ethics approval. Obtaining the ethics approval is also the process. Okay, it's also the process. Once the protocol is done, you will go to the ethics committee. You will try to convince them to conduct this research, right? So that is protocol, and that's how it is done, right? This is, I'm talking about at multiple levels. Like, see, this course is the industrial, advanced clinical research diploma, advanced clinical research diploma. So this flow you usually have seen in the institutions as well, right? But here, when we go to a little higher level, like industry, how the industry do a clinical trial, right? So they already have the research problem, they already have a drug, and they already have a disease where they want to test the drug, where they want to do the clinical trials, right? So accordingly, they make the protocol, right? They make the protocol, and this protocol is not coming to the ethics committees first here. Guys, focus. This research protocol is not coming to the ethics committee directly. Okay, this is going to first regulatory body, regulatory body for the permission, for the permission. And what is this? IND. Have you heard of IND name? Have you heard of IND name? Okay, what is IND? Can someone tell me? What is IND? Investigational new drug. Investigational new drug. So the application IND is the application to be submitted to the regulatory affairs before. Remember, IND is the application which is being submitted to the regulatory bodies before conducting any clinical trial. Okay, we call it IND, right? So there are two questions. There are two questions. First question to all of you is, first question to all of you is, what is the regulatory body in India which takes care of clinical trials? What is the regulatory body in India? Can anyone tell me? CDSCO. Perfectly fine. Wonderful. Lovely. What is the full form of CDO? Central Drug. What is the CDSCO full form, guys? Everyone is writing CDSCO, but full form. Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Wonderful. And who controls CDSCO? Who controls CDSCO? DCGI, that Drug Controller General of India, right? Drug Controller General of India controls CDSCO, and CDSCO is our regulatory brand. Now, my next question to all of you is from this flow only. Is IND correct to start clinical trials in India? Is IND correct to start clinical trials in India? Form 44 in India. What is Form 44? I haven't filled by myself. I have done 7 clinical trials, big multiple clinical trials from different companies, but I haven't. I haven't filled it by myself. Maybe someone else. But what is the application name? What is the application name? Is it IND? IND is for US FDA. Yes. CTA is for India. It is not IND for India. It is for US FDA. Okay. United States Food and Drug Administration. If the drug is being, selected for clinical trials, then in USA you have to take IND application approval. In India, that is called CTA. IND is called CTA in India, clinical trial application. Clinical trial application. You will get CTA and all, everything you will get to learn in this course. Okay, the full-fledged documents you will learn. Okay, so you are going to learn all advanced clinical research here, right? So CTA in India, it is called as CTA, right? So I'll come back to this. So it does not go to regulatory, I mean, it does not go to ethics committee directly. If it is the industrial clinical trial, right, it goes to regulatory body. And once the company gets the approval of CDSCO in India or FDA, IND in IND in USA or CTA in India, once they get that approval, they select the sites for clinical trials. They already have select the sites, like, okay, I will do one in the Kasturba Medical College of Manipal, one I'll do in PGMR Chandigarh, one I'll do in AIMS Delhi, one I'll do in AIMS Jodhpur. I mean, like that, they select it. One I'll do in PGMR, Puducherry. So they select the sites, right? And once they select the site, then they push the protocol to the ethics committee of each and every site. They have to take the ethics approval from each and every site. Each and every site. Okay. Each and every hospital or medical college or community center, they have to take the approval from each site. That is the flow of industrial clinical trials. In a layman language, it's like very, outline, I'm telling you. This outline. Inside, if you go, it's deep down. If you dig it, it's a huge thing to learn. And this all you are going to, learn in these courses. Multiple things. Regulatory affairs diploma, complete regulatory affairs diploma is only on the applications, regulatory bodies. CDM, clinical data management, is once the clinical, research is done, then what to do, data analysis, everything that you are going to get in the flow. I'm taking the flow chart also. Okay. So this is the first thing what you do, right? So the correct answer for this question is defining the research problem is the first step. Now, can someone tell me, is it necessary to take consent when involving human being into the research in retrospective study design? Yes, wonderful. Very nice. Someone is telling no. Why, Fatima Zuhaina? If somebody is saying no, why? If all are saying yes, why? I want to know the reason. Please speak. You can open your mics. There is no one restricted.
Sir, in retrospective study, we just use the patient data, right? The existing data. So how do
Okay.
we take consent in that situation?
Point taken. What others say? Because everyone has said yes. What others say? Anyone wants to defend your yes, guys?
Sir, even if it is retrospective, we have to take the consent because when the same patient comes to us for whatever purpose they need the MRD records, we take some letter from them only to give their own records. So when we are using it in the research or for publication purpose, it is research principle and ethics to tell them that we will be using their data for the publication or for any research purpose.
Wonderful. Very nice. I mean, very nice debate. Anyone else wants to say something on this? I appreciate it, guys. Please, someone else. Confidential information is being used. Yes, Sifali, Rachna, but still we are using their data. Okay, fair point. What? What else? Anyone else who wants to put their views? Guys, do you know what is consent form, first of all? Everyone? Just say yes or no. Have you heard of consent form, everyone? Everyone? Yes? Yes? Okay, great. Fantastic. Very nice. You all understand the consent form. So consent form is the, is taking permission legally. When I'm taking the term legally, talking about the legal part, it is when you are taking someone's permission legally to get involved in the clinical trial. Right, that is called consent form. So consent forms are multiple types. You will get the entire class on consenting. Okay, so there are multiple types of consentings. One is paper consenting, like where usually it is a traditional way. The patient comes, you recruit them, you convince them, and they come, and then before coming to the clinical trial, they sign the form. They sign the consent form. That is called paper consenting. Okay, they sign the consent form. And can you tell me, is consenting different? Consenting differ with the age of the patient? Yes,
Yes,
guys.
sir.
Okay. How?
Minor, in case of minor, it is called as assent. because they will
Okay.
not be able to judge for whatever the risk alternatives or complications of the treatment. And also in any other vulnerable patients, we have to take the consent from their relatives or first circle of relatives.
Circle of relatives or relatives.
Children. First, children, if it is old
The
people.
correct term is legal representative.
Yeah.
Correct term is legal
Repre-
representative. Right. Perfectly fine. Legal representative in cases, in some cases, like your maybe the vulnerable population, like psychiatric patients, where the person cannot understand the terms and conditions, person cannot understand the risk of being into the clinical trial, right? Or the trial participant is a minor. Minor means what? Minor means less than what age, guys? 18. Okay. Anyone else? Usually it is debatable, but as India has the minor age 18, usually yes, 18, but sometimes it is 12. Okay. In some guidelines it is 12, right? But in India, we always go with the national guidelines in every country, right? So whatever is the age of adulteration, I mean, sorry, not adulteration, the being adult. I'm so sorry, the wrong term. Right. So being adult, that age is being considered for the consenting also, right? So if the person is not legally aged to sign the consent, there we need legal representative, right? Okay, this is about consenting and types of consenting. You will understand there are, as I told you, written consent forms, there are audio consent forms, there are audio visual consent forms, there are message consent form nowadays. There are message consent forms. If someone consents, in the text or in the WhatsApp message, so that is something, there are multiple types of latest things have gone. And since the E6 guidelines have come, oh sorry, E6 R3 has come. So once so the revision 3 has come, since then the entire guidelines are focused on patient centric approaches. Patient centric approaches means they have to retain the patient as much as they can, right? I mean, the clinicians or the researchers, they have to retain the patients into the clinical trial. So they have to do, all the, approaches. And that's why they are focusing more on the patient centric approaches. And they have made it very easy for the researchers and, very much approachable for the participants. Okay. So consenting. Now, I'll come back from consenting to the study time. You all are telling the answer is yes. Okay, you all have told me the answer is yes, right? But the correct answer is no, right? The correct answer is no. Why the correct answer is no is, see, now you have to understand it clearly. Retrospective study design and prospective study design. There are multiple types of studies, multiple types. We can define in different ways. We can categorize the studies in different ways. Like first, we usually define by the timeline timeline. And then second, we define by the, intervention, non-interventional studies and all. That is different. I'm not taking that today, in some other class, but today I'll talk about timelines. So there are two type of studies. One is forward timeline. One is forward timeline studies. Like we are starting today and we are continuing forward. Like we are recruiting the patient today and we are following up the patient in the future. That is called retrospective. Sorry, that is called prospective studies, right? That is called prospective studies. And something is called retrospective studies, where we are recruiting the patient today, but we are following up the patient for data in the past. In the past, we are taking the data from the past. Okay, now I will give you, like, see, I'll explain this. There are a lot of things to, understand, a lot of things to learn. But first, I will ask you one question. I'll give you an example. See, there is a clinical trial on metformin. Suppose very simple, I'll take metformin in diabetes patients, right? Try to understand this as much as you can, guys. Metformin in diabetes patients. You want to check the efficacy, right? You want to check the efficacy of metformin in diabetes. The patient came last week. Patient came last week, like on suppose 15th of June, the patient came to the hospital, and you are recruiting the patient on 22nd June to the study, and study is going up to 2026 August, suppose. This study is retrospective or prospective? The date of recruitment is 22nd June, and the patient is not available right now with you, but he is expected to come in the future. So is it retrospective or prospective? Prospective. Why? Why prospective? You're right, it is prospective. But why? What if I say that I am recruiting this patient today on 22nd, but I am taking the data only from the 15th June? Now, is it retrospective or prospective? Now tell me. And why this difference? Now you're telling retrospective. Why it is? So for today, I'm recruiting the patient today. Maybe I'm following up for the future also, but I'm collecting the data of 15th today on 22nd. Isn't it retrospective? Isn't it past data collection? Isn't it a past data collection? Guys, speak. Retro, because you are taking the old data. Okay. Retrospective. Okay. See, you are so convincing. And I can understand myself as
That
very.
probably depends on the last timeline when we want to assess the patient.
I could see myself as a very good manipulator, you know. Why? See, I just told you one thing and you all turned completely, or, I turned the table completely here. Why? See, look at this example only. I'm telling this study is going to be in the future, right? This patient, first of all, understand all three examples. Three examples. First example was this patient I'm recruiting today, but the patient came last week. I'm collecting the data from last week also. I'm collecting the data from last week also, but following up till 2026 August. This is prospective. Definitely prospective, because you are starting the study, the clinical research or the research or the protocol or whatever you say, the project, in presence of the patient. I mean, he is signing the consent. He will be, present. You might not be available in the hospital that day when he came last time. Okay. When he came last time, you might not be. But here also, there are multiple things, multiple arguments. See, if your ethical approval is not before 22, if your ethical approval is 22nd, you cannot recruit this patient first of all. You can recruit only after the ethics approval. If you are recruiting that time before the ethics approval, then this study will be something else. I'll come back to this. Okay, there are multiple argumentative things. When you look into the clinical trials, it is it is the ocean of arguments. See, let's discuss this. First scenario, what is retrospective and what is prospective? Suppose, listen to me very carefully. If a patient is in the hospital or is in the OPD or is current CURRENT, if the patient is involved currently in the study, that is called as prospective. Understand? That is called as prospective, right? Suppose you are recruiting the patient today, but the patient is not available at the time of data collection. You are collecting the data from the file. That's perfectly fine, because patient has consented today and patient is involved in the research now. At this point of time, patient is involved in the research. Okay. Similarly, if the patient came for the first visit a week back and you are recruiting today from the last week, because that time you might not be available there, right? Or you just have recruited from that day. I mean, you have collected the data from that day, you are recruiting today, but you need that data. It is also prospective, but you should follow the patient for the future as well. This should be current involvement. Okay, there should be the current involvement. And the second example was, if you are taking the, consent, I mean, sorry, if you are recruiting the patient or participant today into the study and you are taking the data just for the 15th, that is past. Patient is not involved currently. So that is completely retrospective. That is retrospective. Patient is not involved. So many people say this argument like, oh, if you are collecting the data from the files, that is retrospective. Not at all. Somewhere you are, suppose you are in the hospital, you are collecting the patient from the inpatient and patient is in the washroom. Patient has gone for the MRI. Patient is not there, right? So you will be collecting the data, na? Or if you are, patient is in the hospital, you have collected half of the data and patient got discharged, patient went home, and you want to collect the half of the data from the files, that cannot be retrospective. That is prospective, because what we exactly see in the clinical trials or the industrial clinical trials is only one thing, that is current involvement. If the patient is not currently involved, that is retrospective. If you're correctly the data, duration could be anything. Like suppose I'm taking the patient today into the, my study, and I'll, extend it for 10 years. It will be retrospective. I mean, it will be prospective only. But in the past, like suppose I'm starting in 2015 and I'm collecting the data till 20th June, 20 June, 2025. That is past. That is retrospective, right? So that is retrospective, right? So the current involvement is important. Okay, not like you are collecting the data from the file or the repository or anywhere or the internet. The HMS, hospital management system, it is completely fine from where. Those are data sources. Those are just data sources. We call them data sources. They are data sources. They are not the patient. They are not the participant, right? Understand? That is clear. So the timeline is very, very important. Okay. So this, I hope you understood the retrospective and prospective. Now you understood consent form, you understood the timelines, timeline based study types, right? Now let's combine both of these, consent and retrospective, right? Retrospective and prospective. Let's combine these two. See, consent is allowed only in prospectives. Consent is not necessary in retrospective. You understand that? Consent is not needed in retrospective data. Consent is only needed in prospective data. You understand that? No, it's not needed because patient is not currently involved. Okay. And definitely the confidentiality terms will be maintained whether it is retrospective or prospective. ICH principle says the confidentiality, safety, and anonymity, these must be maintained during the entire research plan, right? That is the different part. But when it comes to the consent, if the patient's involvement is not established currently, you don't need the consent form. Okay, that's why the answer is no. You understood, guys? Say yes if you understood. And if any doubt, please ask, please clear your doubt. Please get the scenes in your mind. Please get the clinical research scenes in your mind and clear out right now with me. I hope you understood that. Okay, great. Fantastic. If you understood, that's really great. Okay, now let's come to the next point. Question number 3. Is it important to obtain the ethics approval or ethical approval for a case series type of study design? Yes, guys. Yes? No? You have to tell me yes or no. You have to justify your answer. Everyone, answer please. There are only, see, We are running this diploma only for 30 people, okay? I mean, though there are 45, I mean 48 in total in 3 in 1 and 7 in 1, but we are running it at very, less number so we can, engage to everyone. You guys have to engage. Yes. Do we need ethics approval for a case series or not? Case series and case report, no ethics approval needed. Wonderful. Anyone counter or in support? Anyone in the counter or in support? Yes, people. If you have no idea, please write no idea. What say? Or if you have idea, please write your answer. Not sure? No idea, no idea. Okay, now let me tell you. Let me tell you. See, in last slide, we understood about consenting. Okay. Here we are talking about ethics approval. Two very important aspects, very important terms. So when we talk about ethics approval, that means ethics approval means you have to take the permission of ethics committee. Ethics committee contains the 7 members, from different genre. What are the genres? Like one is, might be retired judge, might be social media. I mean, the social, social person from the society, anyone, and 2, 3 scientists, academics, from the academics, multiple people are there. 7 people are there at least in any ethics committee, right? So we need to, evaluate the protocols. We need to evaluate the, research designs, for the safety, confidentiality, and anonymity of the patient or participant. And then only if they feel everything is perfectly fine, in that case, they give the approval, right? In that case, they give the approval. But there are certain things. There are certain things. In case of case series or case reports, you don't need the approval. You don't need the approval, right? So there are multiple types of studies. Okay, there are multiple types of studies. In last slide, you understood based on timeline. Now you understand based on intervention. Intervention means something, whatever the researcher is giving other than the normal course of treatment. Right? Suppose the patient is diabetic, right? And he is having some vitamin deficiency. So if the treatment is just going through with metformin or some other medications, if the doctor gives something else extra, which is not recommended, I mean, which is not given in the protocol or given in the guidelines or given in the hospital protocol, that is called as intervention. Or if the researcher or doctor wants to test something on the patient, that is called intervention. Intervention could be anything means intervention could be a drug, intervention could be a herb, intervention could be a juice extract, anything. Intervention could be the telephonic part, intervention could be yoga, intervention could be telemedicine, intervention could be AI. I mean, it could be anything. It could be anything, whatever you can think, like it can change the behavior of the treatment, right? That could be the intervention. So based on the intervention, we, you know, again, classify the studies. So first, where we put the intervention. If the intervention is yes, these all are called as clinical trials. Clinical trials or interventional studies or experimental studies. We call them experimental studies because we are doing the experiment, or interventional studies because we are putting the intervention, and clinical trials means we are doing the testing, right? So these all three things are same. Okay, if someone says experimental studies, interventional studies, clinical trials, all are same. All are interventional studies, right? All are experimental studies or clinical trials, right? So clinical trials could be anything: community clinical trial or industrial clinical trial, institutional clinical trial, or randomized controlled clinical trial, or non-randomized controlled clinical trial, single arm clinical trial, double arm clinical trial, multiple arm clinical trial, anything. Whatever comes your way is a clinical trial. It is a clinical trial, right? Means it has the intervention. And if there is no intervention, that means the study is boring, but very effective. one of the most effective study, and that is observational study. Observational study. Observational means the researcher is an observer here. Researcher is an observer here. He or she is just observing the facts, observing the course of action, observing everything, the treatment, the physiology or the outcome, side effect, whatever. Okay, they are just observing. They are not allowed to do anything. They can just observe, they can just collect the data and analyze it, and done. They are not allowed to put the intervention. They're not allowed to put the intervention. Now, let me tell you what are the types of observational studies we usually have. I'm just taking you overview. Okay, I'm just giving you the overviews. Okay, in that, first is case report. Second is case series. Third is case control. Or fourth is cohort studies. And one is cross-sectional studies. Sectional studies. Okay. Cross-sectional studies. So in the case report means you are taking just one patient. In case series, you are taking a couple of patients like 1 to 15, 20, that's all. I mean 1 to 10, 8, 5, that's all. Okay. That is called case series. This is done for unusual cases, rare cases, or rare events, or unusual events, or new events, something, like something unique, novel, right? So we do it, we do the study, we publish only one patient or a couple of patients, that's all. That is called as case report or case studies. So mind here, you need only consent form from the patient directly. You need only consent form. No need to take the ethics approval in case of case report or case series. Okay. This is the leverage from ICH. And if you think here you don't need the consent form, here you need consent form. If it is the prospective study, you have to take the consent form from each and every participant, whether they are healthy, whether they are participating in any kind of trial, any kind of observational study. You have to take the consent. Okay, whether they are case studies, whether they're cross-sectional, cohort, case control, you have to take the consent form. But ethics approval is leveraged here in case of case studies and case series, right? Similarly, as the consent form was leveraged in retrospective studies. Okay, understand? Clear? So ethics approval is not required in case of case series here. The answer is no, right? Answer is no. So you understood the concept of case, concept of consent and ethics approval, guys? Yes or no? Did you understand? Great. Okay, so now we can go ahead. Now go ahead with the next question. Which sequence of the research cycle is correct? Yes. Which sequence of the current? See, I'll not explain it because it's already explained. Yes. Just tell me the answer. See, everyone is starting with identifying the problem. Very confusing. Yes, tell me the answer, guys. Okay. 4. Something is special. Why it is Fatima Johanna? Justify your answer, and everyone else justify your answer. Yes, let's talk, guys.
Yes, so first, I think we have to first identify the problem and then decide which type of study we're going to perform. And then we pick the aims and objectives, and then we search for the type of articles available. And depending on that, we will do the data collection. So I think
Okay.
4 is appropriate.
Anyone in the counter or support? Answer is this.
Okay.
Oh, I saw the answer. Okay, by mistake. By mistake, I saw the answer. Answer is 2. Okay. Why it is? Because when I was telling you in the first slide, I was telling you the flow chart, right? Flow of the clinical research. That was not digged down. That was not very deepened, right? So here, if we go further in the making of protocol, right? So first thing, the sequence of research cycle, first thing comes is identifying the problem. Definitely, identifying the problem is the first thing. Then what to do, guys? Why literature search next is because we need to validate our problem. Validate your problem or research question. Research question, right? Or the topic or the title. First, we need to validate the problem, if the problem is correct, if it can be done or not, right? So that how it can be done, how can we, done the validation part? It can be done with the review of literature. That can be done by the literature search. Understand? That can be done by the literature search, and that's why literature search is next. And once you get the literature search, you are very clear what to do and you prepare the aims and objectives, and then again you sometimes do the literature search for more types, and then you decide the proper research question. Okay, I'll come to that. This is not, I mean, first problem, validate the problem, or lay research question, research problem, you validate that, then get the literature search, get some outcomes like what you want to do. Okay, what you want to do, what's your outcomes, what's your hypothesis, and then refine your research question. Okay, and then based on that, write the methodology, select the study type, select the site, select the duration, select resources used, everything. That is methodology. And then once it is done, get the approval and do the data collection, right? And then analysis and completion, right? So this is the normal flow, right? Let's take one more question. Randomization could be the technique of which type of research studies? Yes, guys. Randomization to clinical trials. Absolutely. I told you interventional clinical trials. So there are multiple types of, interventional clinical trials, randomized, non-randomized. Randomized means, there is no chances of bias, right? You have to choose the patients or participants randomized into the groups. Okay, and non-randomized means where randomization is not done, right? And cross-sectional studies, case control, cohort, these are observational type of studies. So not at all in the sense. Systematic review is not a type of study. So again, not the answer. Correct answer is interventional clinical trials. Correct answer is interventional clinical trial. Okay. Now, interventional clinical trial. Now, you tell me, why do we do the research? This is a very important question, very valid question. If I say, why do we do the research? Anyone? Two reasons, everyone. Two reasons, everyone, why do we do the research? Yes. To find a solution of a research problem in a new way. Fantastic. Wow. To find out the answers of our question, to test the hypothesis. Absolutely correct. All the answers are correct. All the answers are morally correct. Let me reframe myself. All the answers are morally correct, but immorally, no. To fill the knowledge gaps, to get a perfect reply of what we are finding. Absolutely. To find the answer of unsolved questions, casual relationships of what? Casual relationships of what, guys? Yes, it's a very valid answer. Arun Pillai, it's a correct answer, but please explain it. Yes, guys. Intervention and outcome. Okay, perfectly fine. Anyone else? Any other question? Any other? Okay, predicting what could happen to prove the null hypothesis wrong. Okay, too statistical. Too statistical, Sandeep Bose. Now let me tell you one thing, or you give me answer. Why are you doing your project in fifth year, PharmD? Or why are you doing your project in M.Pharm second year? Can someone tell me? Now I'm going immorally, not morally, so that we can trust on what we are finding. No, my question is, why do the PharmDs do a project in the fifth year? Why do M.Pharm people do the second year project, research project? Why? What you are getting after that? Tell me. What you are getting after that? Tell me the outcome of your I mean, you're doing research in PharmD fifth year or M.Pharm second year. Basics of clinical research, wonderful. You guys are so moral, right? Isn't it? Okay, so let me tell you the truth. You do it so you can get it, so you can get your degree, right? You do the research in your family fifth year so you can pass the fifth year, or you can pass the second year of M.Pharm. That's why you do it. Why we do the research in PhD? So we can get the PhD. Why we do that? Because it's in syllabus, okay? Because it is a need, you know, it is a need. Prepare for future roles in clinical research. No, because it is a need-based thing. Do you know how many of you after M.Pharm or PharmD do the research? How many of you go for jobs and just forget the research, whatever you did? You don't even know what's your title, isn't it? Even PhD people after 1 year of PhD, I know, hundreds of PhDs who don't know what PhD they did. I'm telling you, because it is need. Okay. So if I tell you that 85 people do the research because of their need, 85% people, 10% people, 5% people. You know that all what you are telling, all what you are telling are outcomes of this, like solving unsolved, getting something new, you know, doing something new, doing something unique is the outcome of all this. You know, you do the research either based on your interest. If you are completely interested, you are a devotee. You are a devotee. You are a saint. Then you are doing it research because you are so much interested and you want to fulfill the social needs. You really want to do something for our country. You really want to do something for the society. You really want to do something for yourself, for your family. That is because of interest, and only 5% people are there who do it for your interest, their interest. 85% people do it. Like MDs will not get the MD degree without doing the research. M.Pharms will not get the degree because of their this. Assistant professors will not become the professors or associate professors without submitting 2 or 3 papers to UGC. That's guidelines, that's called forced research. We do the research to fulfill our needs. Maybe with the fun or without fun, that's a different task. With interest, without interest, that's a different task. But you are doing it to fulfill your personal needs, right? And only if you're doing it for your interest, leaving everything, leaving your fantastic industry job and coming out to the, again, research and, running the research projects and then enjoying the life, that is because of interest. Or sometimes like Corona, we made the vaccine because it was a social need. We created the, MVP virus or, other viruses, vaccines because it is a social need. Researchers do that for money, for needs, ultimately, right? So research, I mean, whatever you were telling, those all are outcomes of research. Understand? That's why we do the research. That is very, very important. Yes. Sir, I have a question. How much clinical trials in India are fair or being manipulated from the success? Okay, for the success of clinical trial, what's opinion? See, if you don't ask my opinion, that's a very, very, it will be a very good suggestion from my side. But if I, tell you, because you are my students now, and I can, tell you, so it is even, If you look at yourself, you're around, or, around yourself, your friends, have you talked to your friends like, people saying, "Oh, yeah, I cannot publish this paper because my results are not positive." Have you heard of this? Have you heard of this that, yeah, I cannot publish this paper. My project is waste because I did not get the p-value, significant. I didn't get the correct data. Why? This is a very simple question, right? This is a very simple question. And I'm telling you, this is the waste question as well. Everyone is behind the positive results. Everyone is behind the success. You don't know the negative results. You know that what is the impact? What is the, importance of negative results in, negative results in research? The importance of negative research, you know, what is the importance of negative research? There are the high impact factor journals which publish only neg results, only negative results, only negative results. Why? Because, see, if someone has invested $100 million or $300 million in conducting a multinational clinical trial and they failed in that clinical trial was not successful, or the results were not positive, not successful, results were not positive. So it will give the idea to the future researchers like, okay, we should not repeat what he or she has repeated before. They can, they can save their hundreds of $1 million. They can save their time, they can save their resources, they can save the money, they can save a lot of things. So it is very important, whatever results you get, publish. Whatever results you showcase, because that will give you the ultimate recognition, because you are, stopping others, from the sufferings of this process. Know that you're stopping others from the sufferings of this process, right? So negative results are very, very important. And yes, because it is not profitable, it is not profitable. See, negative results are not profitable for the pharmaceutical companies and all. So they do manipulations. That's why we have the surveillance. That's why we have the CDSCO. That's why we have, multiple other agencies, right? That's why we have these monitorings. That's why we have clinical data monitoring teams, right? So there are the chances of manipulations. People fabricate the data, people manipulate the data just to get the good results, just to get the positive results, right? But yes, it is true. Not everyone, but yes, people do that. It is there. And it is not only India. You guys think it is happening only in India. India is just a victim, guys. I'm telling you. It happens at the higher level in US, in European Union. You know why it happens there? Because almost all the clinical trials are, created by them. Their, concept is coming by Novartis, Pfizer, Eli Lilly, or other big companies where they are sitting, where their managers, clinical trial operations are sitting. Do you think in India? Not at all. They are sitting in US. First, the clinical trials happening in US and EU and some other continents, and then it comes to India. Yes, people do it with India. People do manipulate the data in India or Indian data. Why? Because India is one of the largest population and they have to show the positive results so their drug can make profits. Largest population. That is the only thing why they get the positive results. If the drug is not even positive or drug has very worst effect on the human beings, they create it. They come up with the positive results, so it will be sold. In 1 year or 2 years, they will get all the money and fly back. Or maybe they don't care about the withdrawal or something after 5 years from the market, because in 5 years they will sell the they will get at least 5 to 10x of whatever they have spent on the clinical trials. Right. So this happens, but not everyone. Nowadays, we have very, hell strict rules in India. Okay, very strict rules in India. Okay, guys. So I think we can wind up here for today, and I'll take one more class sometimes. So here, Albert Einstein, I love this quote. If we knew what we are doing wouldn't be research. So research is something, whatever we just do it for the unknown outcomes. Okay, that's Albert Einstein has said. So we'll wind up here. I have some 10-15 more slides, but it will take time, another 1 hour. So I'll take this class sometimes else. Guys, so any questions for me today? Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Even I'm exhausted today, actually, because of the conference. So yeah. Yes, guys. Any questions from your side?
So
Yes.
suppose I have some 30 to 40 patients data retrospective, which they have been
Yes.
treated for one particular condition. So
Yes.
we have almost followed the same line of treatment for all the 30 or 40 with some one or two medication variations. So in that
Okay.
case, should we take the ethical approval?
From your institute, dear, institutional ethics approval.
Institutional ethical committee, we have to pass it and only then we should publish.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Institutional means hospital or the college. Is this class considered attendance for us? Yes, absolutely. I have taken already your attendance. I have taken. Okay. Any questions? See all the interns who are in these courses, premium courses. You don't have to worry about the attendances of these courses. Okay. That is counted. I mean, being counted if you are in the class. Yes. Any other questions, guys? I hope you like the class. Let's see. We will go very deep in this, uh, advanced clinical research diplomas. Our faculty members are from, different industry. They are from GSK, who are working live on the clinical trials. They are from different companies, and they'll come and teach you. They are top academicians. Okay. So guys, with that, take care, and I'll see you in the next class. Bye-bye. I'll share the recordings by tomorrow or by next Tuesday morning or by tomorrow evening only. Okay. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Good night. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.